What's up, guys? Back me here with the Fosters, Season 3, Episode 14, Underwater. Okay, this episode starts off with Callie going to the juvenile detention, going to going to a juvenile detention to see AJ, but first she accidentally slips out, and almost calls herself Callie Jacob, but she's like, her name is Callie Jake Adams Foster. She only calls her Callie Jacobs there. She's like, she got adopted, so she changed her name. And she's like, she says the AJ Hensdale, anything jokes from Hensdale. And the person says she's not on his list. And 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 she's like, what does that mean? And the lady's like, that means he is one. And Kelly's like, I thought I talked to someone. And she's like, we see your request, but you're not on here. And she's like, what does that mean? That means he doesn't want to see you. So then we get into a meeting with Steph about her cancer thing when she just flashes back, when she just gets to a moment of her in water, her swimming in water. And then she flashes back to her saying yes or something, not even hearing what that guy said. So after Sharon's like, hey, but yeah, so Callie's mad at Steph. Callie's like, so they're like, how's AJ? So yeah, so she's like, how's AJ? And she's like, he doesn't want to see her. And she's like, she thought she was talking to her mom, not a cop. I guess there's no difference, and I guess there's no difference. And she's like, watch her tone. I'm sorry about her tone, but you should have been honest with her. So she walks upstairs, and she's like, Callie, and she's like, let her have her feelings. Even AJ is refusing to see Mike too. So yeah, so Jesus is still working with Gabe. He's still working with Gabe, and he even lets him. Even says how Gabe. Even asks if he says he's 18, and he's like, "Hey Gabe," he's like, "Hey Gabe, what high school did you go to?" And he's like, "Jefferson," and he's like, "What year did you graduate?" And he's like, "He never graduated." And he's like, "Cool." He's like, "You think dropping out school is cool?" And he's like, "No." Yeah. And he's like, "Is that your way of just telling him to not answer any questions?" And he's like, "Not the personal ones. If you want to talk to him, talk to him. But if you want to chit chat, go talk to the other guys." So, yeah. So yeah. So yeah. So Mariana and Matt are kind of, Mariana. I forgot to mention last episode that Mariana was on the play. For some reason, Matt was like, you had the best performance, but I don't want you to. I don't want you. I don't want you in his musical, but you were hands down the best Juliet. Will you be in his musical? That doesn't make any sense. It's like It's like saying, "Oh no, I don't want your stuff, but will you please take it?" It's just like, Matt, that made no sense. You didn't want her in your musical, then why'd you ask her to be in your musical? So anyway, yeah. So Mariana's in the musical, and Zoe and there's this new character who's in the play. New character that's in the play, named Zoe, and she's like, hey man, we can go study later. And Mariana's like, hey, hey, Brandon, as director of the play, you should say there's no dancing between. There should be no dancing, dating between between actors policy. And Brandon's like, no, Mariana. If you're uncomfortable to work with Matt, he can just cast Talia as Juliet, unless she's still talking to him. And she's like, and Mariana's like, okay. So yeah. So then Brent asks Zoe to sing a song, and as she sings a song, she looks at Matt, and then she looks at Mariana, because Mariana is right in front of her for some weird, odd reason. But yeah, so Callie tries to get back into the juvenile center, and she's not let in. So, but then after 2 tries, she's finally let in, and she goes to see Ty, and she's like, "Hey, can you tell AJ? Can you tell someone? Can you tell AJ?" And he's like, "What can I do?" And she's like, "Tell him to come home. Tell him there's a foster family that misses him." So yeah, so yeah, anyway. Wait, so Nick and Jesus are hanging out. Jesus is telling Nick about he's working with his dad, and he and Jesus are actually playing with each other until he bumps into Mariana by accident. And he's like, he bumped into me, and he's like, "Come on, guys, what are you, 9 years old? Grow up." So Mariana hates Nick for no apparent reason, and yeah, so Jesus and Nick are like doing circles in the car when this cop approaches them. So Jesus is like, "Hey, her friend Nick," and she's like, "Yeah," and she's like, I was telling about his birth dad," and she's like, he was asking questions, and she's like, "You don't have to answer them, you know." And he's like, "I know you hate him." And he's like, "He's not all bad." And he's like, yeah, he's going to your honor board tomorrow. He's going to your honor board because he was caught doing donuts in the school parking lot. So please don't go easy on." And Mariana's like, I'll try not to." And yeah, what does doing donuts in the school parking lot mean? Yeah, I guess we'll never know. Unless you guys in the comments can tell me what it means. But yeah, so Jesus, so yeah, so Jesus is, so Nick's like, Mariana's it's tries to do the same thing that he did on Mariana about how it's a new school, junior year, and yeah, so Mariana's like, "Here, since you did donuts and since you did all those tire marks, you're gonna be cleaning them up. Here's a mop and bucket, and since you'll be on your knees, here's some knee pads." So Mariana basically meets up with him later, and meets up with him later. And so yeah. So Mariana, actually speaking of Mariana, I forgot to mention this scene at the beginning of the episode where Mariana was like, "Hey Lena, are you having an affair with principal of our school?" And she's like, where'd you hear that?" She's like, "It's all over Twitter." And she's like, "Twitter?" And then there's a picture of Monty and Lena's faces, and it says they're bumping butts. And Sharon's like, "It's kind of pretty funny." And she's like, "No, it's not, Mom, or true." And she's like, "I'll try to do a pro of stop spreading lies about her mom." But anyway, back to the scene with Nick. Mariana goes to see Nick, and he's like, and he asked her out, but he's like, "Hey, we need these knee pads." And she's like, "Ew, bro, you're disgusting, bro." And he's like, "Hey, he makes her feel that way when she's around him." And she's like, "That's her fault." He's like, "No, let's go out." And she's like, "You can have my number." So yeah, so Nariana might be happening. So anyway, yeah. So Jesus tells Mariana that. So back at the site, Jesus finally tells Gabe who he is. He's like, he's not Nick, he's Jesus, his son, and he's like, you gotta leave. You can't be around him. And he's like, it's not like I want anything from you. And he's like, I can't illegally be around you, Jesus. Don't ever come back here again. So Mariana, so he consoles Mariana, and Jesus is like, why would he say that? Why would he say that he can't be around? And Mariana's like, I don't know, maybe he took a restraining order against him or something. And then they get news of cancer, cancer. With so yeah, so with Brandon and Courtney are hanging out when Courtney asks him about Shirley Temples, and he's like, about the drink, and he's like, who? And she's like, you don't know who Shirley Temples is? And he's like, should I? And she's like, she's one of the best child stars in the world, bro. And and he's like, she wrote the animal crackers in my soup song, and Brandon's like, basically this drink is a little girl's drink. So yeah, so Brandon basically goes back to Courtney, and he says, "Is there a ghost of a girl with curly hair needing him?" So basically, Shirley Temple, and he sings the "Animal Crackers in My Soup" song, and Courtney even joins him. So, do you want me to sing the song? I'll sing the song. Actually, no. Well, I think the song is catchy with the duet between Brandon and Courtney. But yeah, I think it sounds cute. So Courtney's like, it's not like it's not that I don't want to kiss you, Brandon. It's just, it's complicated. And he goes back to her, and he's sorry about his mom. So yeah, anyway. So yeah, well, anyway. So then they learn about the cancer, and and, and so they learn about the hysterectomy, and even Callie and Mariana are looking at it later. So then we see Mariana looking up a cave and saying that he was convicted in 1997, basically 10 years ago, and this shows, and he was released in 2010, it says. So yeah, and he says he was convicted of Lewis was a minor. Basically, he's a sex offender, or I'm gonna say sleep offender because I don't like the word sex in this thing. So yeah. So basically, that wraps up this episode. I thought the episode was good. It was a good one. It wasn't. It was pretty good. I thought the animal crackers in my was a cute song between Brandon and Courtney. Callie and Brandon thought that they should be moving on. Yes, Brandon. Yeah, so Brandon ran to Courtney, and he was like, and he was, and he was, and he was like, because Callie had to use the car, he couldn't use it, and he and Courtney were about to kiss when he saw a car seat, and he was like, "Is that a car seat?" And she was like, yeah." And he's like, "What are you? What are you? Are you like a nanny?" And she's like, "No, she's a mother with a 2-year-old son." So Brandon's basically getting himself in a relationship with a mom, and probably going to be with her kid too. So I thought this episode was okay. This episode was okay. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe, present one from night, and I'll see you next to Foster's.